Take back your soul. This is another transmission from Mahadeva here at ThunderWizard.com headquarters, where you find the world's only unified spiritual energy system at ThunderWizard.com. Get ready, because here I come. Hello YouTube, this is Mahadeva the Thunder Wizard, and this evening I'm going to tell you something I have told you before that is the most dangerous piece of information that you could have access to. Dangerous for those who are in power. It is the most dangerous fact that if you accept it, understand it, and practice it, you will be the most dangerous thing to the elites that are running the world that exist. And that is a very simple concept, which is that everything is inside of you. Everything. I have shared this story before, but I will share it again because it is becoming more true every day. It's always been true, but our reality is beginning to completely come apart. The narrative is completely coming apart. The reality of what you have been told you're supposed to believe about the universe, the reality that you have been believing about the universe, and the reality that is coming. And bear in mind that there is going to be an evolution. Ooh, major lightning. There is going to be an evolution that will either result in you evolving and having the power over your life, or what will happen is that the narrative, thunder, or the narrative will evolve, in which case those who are controlling the world will gain immensely much more control than they have now. So reality is going to shift, and it is going to evolve into a completely different reality than you have ever experienced or the human race has ever experienced. The question is whether or not you are going to be somebody who consciously understands and has able to put into practice the reality that you are everything, that everything in the universe every single thing in the universe is inside of you. If you can understand that, put that into practice, you will be the most dangerous being on the planet for those who currently have power. Let's see, which story should I tell you first? I'm going to tell you the story that I just recently saw. As you know, the Pentagon went before Congress 3 days ago and officially admitted that unidentified flying objects with technology far beyond what human beings supposedly are capable of do exist, and they showed video to prove it. And then they went further than that and said, we don't know what they are, but they represent a threat to the security of the United States. We talked about that in previous videos. But that admission is the single most transformative event in human history, even though it's just something that nobody really paid a whole lot of attention to. And it's kind of so unbelievable that, you know, it just sort of bounces off of people's brains. Nobody really pays attention to it. But as I said, if that's true, everything changes. Religion changes, technology changes, and consciousness changes. And in one of in my research now, because now I'm obsessed with what is going on with this, how many people have had interactions with aliens, extraterrestrials, how much of that information out there is nonsense. There's a ton of nonsense out there. How much of that is nonsense? How much of that is real? And so I'm sifting through a lot of stuff. And one story really struck me because I had experienced the truth of this years ago while I was training in this practice here. And I believe I've taught this meditation once or twice publicly. But as I was reading it, this was supposedly people who have said, numerous people from different sources, who have said that they have piloted these alien crafts, that they were brought on board and they were given the opportunity to pilot the craft. And the way that the craft is, or that these crafts, plural, are piloted, is that you physically interact with the ship. So you touch the ship in some way. There's some place where you stick your hands or you grab onto something. You are physically plugged into the ship via your skin. And when that happens, the ship, which also has consciousness, for lack of a better word, maybe it's some kind of AI, but it has consciousness, and it responds to your intention of where you want to go. And so in each of these cases, the people asked the extraterrestrials the same question. They said, how do I do this? What's the protocol? How do I make this thing go? And every single time they said to them, it is all inside of you. Just think about where you want to go. It's inside of you. The ship will respond to you. You don't have to know where anything is. You don't have to have a map. You just have to know where you want to go. Because there is this thing of non-locality, that in the quantum field, everything is connected. There is no space. The idea that things are separate is an illusion. And that everything that exists in the universe exists inside of your soul, inside of you. Inside of you is the entire universe, quantum folded in terms of the human body, in your heart center. And I experienced that, had to have been 30 years ago, and I did the meditation again today, but I was doing one of these Maoshan meditations that I teach, the method of holding the 3 ones, where you connect each one of the 3 centers in the body with the external 3 centers of the universe. You connect with them, you merge with that, and you become one with everything. And I was doing this meditation without intellectually knowing what I just said. And I was doing this meditation, and I found myself, as I went deeper and deeper into the meditation, I found myself floating around my body, which became enormous. And there was just like my body that was in meditation, and there was just this blackness all around it, like I was in the middle of deep starless space, and I was this tiny little speck floating around it. And then the message that came to me from somewhere somehow was that everything is inside of you. When you look out into the night sky, you're looking into yourself. You're not looking outside of you, you're looking inside of you. So, this concept is absolutely what is necessary for us to evolve to that next plane. We have been living in the delusion which has been shoved down our throat, not only from our four-dimensional human body experience, but from our religion, our education, our friends, our family, our government, everything. Everything is based on you are a tiny little thing inside of this huge universe. And that's why I come down so hard on those of you who are victims of circumstance. You believe you're a victim. It's not possible. You can't possibly be a victim because there's nothing that isn't you. So that means you're fully responsible. I'm sorry. Many of you have had painful lives. So have I. That's just a fact. You can get mad at me if you want. I didn't make it up. But the fact is that everything is you. All of your experiences is your own manifestation, your own creation. And so we are able to get to that place where we can live in this magical universe that, we never really thought possible. Science can't comprehend spacecrafts that go faster than the speed of light. They can't even comprehend spacecrafts that can go the speed of light. The science can't figure out how that's done. They don't have the first clue how to do that. For somebody to say, oh, it's very simple. You use your consciousness to travel the quantum singularity, which is the universe. Science is going to go, that sounds great, but that's just not possible. But that is the concept that is necessary for us to become Dr. Manhattans. The story, again, I've shared with you many times before, and I'll share it again, is about the shaman healer, the Huna shaman. What is his name? Haleakala Hugh Lin. He's a Hawaiian. Huna is the indigenous shamanism of the Hawaiian people. And so this guy is a Huna shaman. Before he became a Huna shaman, he, if I understand his history correctly, he became a psychologist. So that's one of the things he did for a living. And there was an insane asylum in Hawaii that came to him and had heard that he has this amazing ability to help rehabilitate mentally ill people. And so they were desperate. They had very violent people that they had to literally chain to the wall, because otherwise if they got near you, they'd bite your ear off and all kinds of horrible things like that. And so they called Dr. Hugh Lin and they said, can you help us? He says that he went into his soul and his soul said, yes, this is something we are meant to do. So he said, yes. Because if you don't have a karmic connection, then, he follows that and he only does things that he feels a karmic connection to. So when they asked him, his soul said, yes, go. So he went and met with them, and they said, told him how horrible everything was, and what, can he do something? And he said, yes, I can help. And they said, great, we'll set you up with an office. And he said, great, set me up with an office. So then they go, okay, great, when can you meet with the patients? And he says, oh, I'm not going to meet with them. I just want you to give me their files and give me an office. And they said, how are you going to cure these patients if you don't work with them? He says, don't worry about that. This is how I do things. Just give me an office, give me their files, and then leave me alone, and I'll take care of it. And what he would do is he would have these files, and he would take the file and he would open it up and he would read about the patient. And when he got to something that he had a negative reaction to, patient X bit the ear off of nurse Z, and if he had an internal response of, oh my God, that's so horrible, that patient is so sick, he would close the file, he would put it down, and he would do a meditation. And in that meditation, what he sought to do was to see that external patient as actually a part of himself that was out of balance. And then he went inside and he spoke to that part of himself that was out of balance. And he said the Huna prayer, which is, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. And the way that is you say, I love you, you're talking to yourself. Because there's obviously a part of you that you are not loving because it's out of balance. So you say, I love you, I'm sorry. You apologize to that aspect of yourself because you're not seeing that part of yourself as it truly is, which is a being of infinite light. So you say, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Forgiveness means to rectify the imbalance. And then he says, thank you. Thank you to that part of himself because it is perfect, it is divine, it is just an infinite being of light. So he was seeking, he says, I don't care about what's outside of me. Has nothing to do with that person in that, cell, chained to the wall. Has nothing to do with that person. Has everything to do with my interaction and my perception of myself. And then he says, because everything is a projection from within me, when I honestly and truly fix the damage within what he calls the data within himself, when I fix the damaged data within myself, then the external manifestation of that will be cured. That's just, it has to happen. He sees it that way. That's just the way it is. It's not that he's full of belief or any of that other stuff. He just knows if I fix this, that will respond because that is a manifestation of what's inside of me. And sure enough, as he did that, he didn't meet with any of these patients. He just simply did this process every time he looked at somebody's file and something he read, he had an uncomfortable response. He had judgment, he had fear, he had anger, he had pity, he had disdain, disgust, whatever uncomfortable feeling came out. He went to go fix that because he was thinking negatively about himself, and he didn't want that. He wanted to make himself whole. He wanted to bring himself to the state of being pure light. And that was the path to doing that. And as it so happened, every single one of those patients were cured. So much so that they left the hospital, as I understand it. So this has been a very cute belief. This has been a very, cute, new agey sort of belief. But having that cute sort of everything is love and light, superficial, self-delusion because you want to virtue signal to the world how spiritual you are, that is a lot different than actually doing it. Actually changing that within yourself. Changing yourself. He was taking full responsibility for all of the victim mentality he had based on his reactions to other people. And that's all victim mentality is. The government is out to get me. My parents did it to me. The Democrat Party, Biden is doing it to me. My ex-girlfriend, the legal system, which, according to, the MGTOW boys, the legal system that is out to take away my rights as a man, or if you're a woman, the legal system that's out to tell me that I can't say that instead of using the word she, I'm an it or a they. Anything that puts you in a position where they're doing it to you, you are not taking full responsibility. It doesn't mean that they aren't dysfunctional, that they aren't narcissistic psychopaths. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means that your reaction to that is what puts you in a victim mentality state. So now we are confronted with a reality. It's no longer a spiritual belief. Religion is based on faith. You have to believe in Jesus. I just know that I know that I know, and I believe that my God is a good God. I believe that Jesus died on the cross for my sins. You have to believe in some unbelievable thing. And we've been doing that, myself included. I have a personal experience with this Maoshan spirit fighting stuff. I have a personal experience that goes beyond belief. But the other things associated with it, the afterlife, the existence of the soul, all of that, there has always been this element of, belief and choosing to believe. I even tell you guys, choose to assume. Choose to assume that you are loved in the universe. That's a belief. But this idea that human beings have the potential to become so evolved that they have the ability to morph out of three-dimensional space-time, that they have the ability to travel distances of hundreds of thousands of light years to warp space and time itself. This is no longer a theory. It's no longer a belief. We have the Pentagon saying that it's real. And so the question is whether or not you're willing to take the risk to enter that new universe where the unbelievable is just part of everyday life. Do you realize the impact of that hearing 3 days ago? Do you realize the impact of that? If we were to say that 5 years ago, if somebody were to say 5 years ago that actually the Pentagon is going to come before the United States Congress and is going to admit that there are extraterrestrial beings that have abilities far beyond ours and they travel thousands of light years in a split second, we would laugh. We would go, that's just not reality. It's not going to happen. Maybe aliens exist, maybe they don't, but we can't ever know. I've got videos on this channel saying that. If you go back far enough, which you don't have to go back too far, you will find videos of me saying that very same thing, quoting what scientists say. And now thinking about it, it's ridiculous. Because the odds of there not being planets that have the ability to create life. I mean, in our experience of our solar system and the limited experience that we have to be able to observe other planets, the only planet, the only one that we know has all of the right circumstances to create life is Earth. Which means that in our experience, 100% of the time, if a planet can sustain life, life evolves on that planet. So just based on that statistic, that would mean that every single other planet, which there has to be infinite numbers of, every single other planet that has all of the ingredients to have life evolve, that would mean there's a 100% chance that there is life on that planet. That means that there's innumerable planets with conscious life on it. It's inevitable. Even if I cut that in half, I say, okay, well, Mike, we only have that one, we only have this one planet to go off of, so you don't know that it's 100% of the time. Okay, great. Let's cut it in half. 50% of every single planet that has the ability to sustain life has life on it. Even if we cut that in half too and say, okay, but only 25% of those have, conscious evolved, we still end up with trillions of planets with intelligent life on it. Of those trillions of planets, there's going to be a lot of them that are extremely advanced. It's impossible for that not to be the case. And those beings, everybody that people who claim to have had interaction, like actual interactions, not the faked ones that the deep military creates, all of the abductions where people are, some of them are horrific. The abductions where people are experimented on and physically tested and operated on and forced to do all kinds of horrible sexual things, all that kind of abuse. Those are deep state human military fakes. Those people really experienced it, but those weren't aliens. Those were humans. The actual experiences that people have with extraterrestrials, every single one of them says that they communicate telepathically and that they have nothing but love for all life, and that their message is that everything is connected. It's that same spiritual message you hear from the gurus on the mountaintop. We are all connected. It's an illusion that there's anything called separation. We are part of everything. And that human beings are going down the wrong path. They're discovering technology and they're using it. They're destroying their own environment. It's the same message every time. Which, by the way, happens to be the same message of the elves, the ascended masters in my tradition. It's always that same message, which is everything that you do to yourself has a ripple effect on everybody else. So your responsibility is to live your life the healthiest, most constructive way possible, and by extension, every other being in the universe will be empowered. If you damage yourself, by extension, you are potentially damaging every other conscious form of life in the universe. It's the same message that these extraterrestrials are giving. So, I offer to you the techniques that I've been using. I've been using them for 30 years. That's the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong, which you can subscribe at thunderwizard.com. And if you want to do the elite practice, I just did some earlier tonight. You can go to maoshan.thunderwizard.com. And as time goes on, I will be teaching the method of holding the 3 ones, where you do the meditation, where you merge with the universe, and you can have that experience as well, that everything is you and you are everything. And now we have this opportunity. If you guys haven't already checked it out, go check out, go Google CE5, the letter C, the letter E, the number 5, protocols. Watch any of the movies by Dr. Stephen Greer. A couple of them are free. You can find them on YouTube. You can find them on Amazon. There's some that you have to pay $5 to watch or something like that. Go watch those. And this is it. We are at that threshold. where everything that we've been hearing about, this new enlightenment is going to come. There's going to be this ascension where we're going to enter into the Aquarian age. We're going to come out of the age of Kali Yuga. We're going to be at a point where we're going to be able to use telepathy and astral travel, and that's just going to be normal. We're now entering into that state. The only thing left to do is we have to use our spiritual, psychic influence on the collective unconscious of the world to break the spell that the psychopathic elites have on our world. That is our responsibility to do that. So, having said that, the most dangerous thing in the world for those that seek to keep us bound is the knowledge that everything is inside of you. Tough part is we got to live it. If you can live it, you can be the most dangerous person on the planet. All right, let me go take a look now and see if there's any questions. This is a question and answer. So how many people do we got on here right now? We got 30 people watching. So if you'd like to interact with me, you can write a question. Please write the word question in all caps and then write your question. Or share a feeling. A feeling is not an opinion. A feeling is I'm sad, I'm happy, I'm grateful, I'm scared, I'm angry. Those are feelings. You can share your feelings or your questions, and I would love to interact with you on either of those levels. And let me first I see up here that Thundra showed up a while back. Thundra has a website. Her website is thundra.thunderwizard.com. thundra.thunderwizard.com. And she is one of my astrologers. And you can also see all the other great services that she offers. thundra.thunderwizard.com. I don't know if you guys can hear the thunder. Nobody told me that Florida had like crazy thunderstorms on a daily basis. All right, Agent of the Universe. Honest feeling. I've been feeling like the more good things happening for me, the more horrific trauma I feel. Is this common? It is not uncommon. It is understandable for your your situation. I know what your situation is, and what you're describing is very common because what you have is a dynamic where you see everything in black and white terms. You want to control everything and everyone, and that is not coming from a place of peace and happiness. It's coming from a state of being stuck in your intellect. And because you're doing the work that I'm teaching you on this channel, you are getting to a different place where you're starting to become connected with your head and your heart, and your emotions you're starting to become more conscious of that. There's a greater interaction between your intellect and your emotions, and that can be frightening and it can be painful. So yes, it is very common to have this new experience where you're feeling good, and at the same time you have a lot of frightening feelings, and you are really just expressing what everybody is going to be going through if they're not going through it yet as we get into this next stage. So you're right on target. All right, Daniel Cardenas, welcome to my channel. This is a question and answer, nothing personal. I'm not interested in your opinion. I'd love to interact with you if you have a question, but you can go and lecture people on your channel if you'd like. Atham Animist, honest feeling. I started phase 3 on the 15th of this month. The infinity and butterfly hands are on another level and extremely purging. I've been meeting with ancestors almost every night since. So if you guys want to know what he's talking about, you can go up here to thunderwizard.com and subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Challenge. And as you can see, there's multiple phases, and on phase 3, I give you some very advanced, I give you a piece of one of the more advanced spirit fighting sets. And yes, it's on a completely different level. So I'm glad that you're enjoying that. It's one of my favorite things as well. In fact, I have a second level of the butterfly hands. So what you have is the first level, and I'm about to create a second level for that. I've already created it, I just haven't uploaded it yet. So when that's going to happen, I can't tell you exactly when. But if you thought the first phase of phase 3 was good, wait till you get to the second part of it. Athamanimist, honest feeling. I also have this eerie feeling that throughout my day I am journeying within myself and my emotions are more intense, but it feels amazingly good and terrifying at the same time. So you and Agent of the Universe are having the same experience. So you guys aren't alone. And that's also been my experience as well. And don't forget, I told you guys that was what was going to happen. I told you guys that when you did the Maushan practices, that this is where it took you. I knew telling you that until you experience it, you really don't know. But now you know. But it's really great to see that you guys are having the same experience that I've had with it. Jedi Black Knight, question. I work out my thighs and hips daily, but still end up losing balance at times while doing the cat stance in the wit set. Is this really an issue? I don't know what you mean by is this really an issue. It sounds like it is an issue for you. But yeah, working out your thighs and your hips daily, I mean, this is, if we were in the martial arts studio, we would be doing these kinds of exercises, deep squats, and stay in deep squats and deep stances and all that kind of stuff. So, and that's to not only build certain muscles in the body, but also to create the nervous system. So it could be that you're having, your nervous system needs to adjust and the meridians need to open. That's why they do those postures. They do those deep postures for sometimes hours. That's why they do that. All that stuff in Karate Kid where he has to do those exercises. I mean, there's reasons for that. There's a lot of people in martial arts that don't ever do those, and they're great martial artists. But originally martial arts was about a complete health and on all kinds of different levels. So all those exercises are helpful. So just keep doing it. Practice is what will get you there. But I understand. I myself was very stiff when I started, and I couldn't go into those deep stances either. It has taken me years to be able to do that. What else? The spectrum of life. Question. What is the Taoist take on dementia? I'm working in an aged care and keep seeing those dementia patients. Therefore, I keep hoping I don't end up like them. Now, your real question isn't what is the Taoist take on dementia. Your real question is, you have a feeling, I'm looking at that frightens me. How do I avoid having that experience? And I do have an answer for that. So, my mom, she has passed. Bless her soul. May she be happy and peaceful wherever she is. My mom had dementia the last few years of her life. My mom, also, when I was a kid, I remember my mom would go out of her way to deny things. So, we kids, we would say, Mom, you said thus and such. And it might have been something that was either difficult or embarrassing or challenging or something like that. She would go, I never said that. And we would all pipe in, all three of us, and we go, yes, you did. You said, and then we would quote what she said. She'd go, oh, I never said that. That never happened. If something bad had happened, if our dad, when he was drunk, had done something bad, or she had done something bad, she said, oh, that never happened. I don't know what you're talking about. And so what ends up happening is when you live like that, that's how you're going to be when you're old. You're going to have dementia. You end up getting what you want. This is the thing people don't realize. If people want out, so if those of you listening to me, if you live your life in such a way where you try and push your feelings down, let's say you take alcohol or drugs in order to push your feelings away, guess what you can, those of you who have experienced it, you've had parents that have gone through that. You know what I'm talking about. You watch them your whole lives as they push things away and deny things, and what ends up happening? They have dementia later on in life. As people die, they end up getting what they want. And you end up getting the diseases. I could, still a little early, I would talk about my sister. She just recently passed away. But without getting into specifics, I can tell you that what killed my sister is what she was trying to make happen her whole life. And she finally got her wish. So your body will present symptoms that mimic what you're trying to accomplish. So that means that if we work to be fully conscious, and part of that is doing the exercises we have here, the 5 element exercises, the meditations and the exercises, working through the emotions. So much lightning out there. Working through the emotions and balancing the emotions and feeling them. That means all the energy is going to move throughout the body, which means the body's going to be healthy. So there's 2 ways to die. You can either die because you have reached your, there's some karmic thing that has to happen. You trip and fall off a cliff, or you get run over by a train. Those are kind of karmic things that have to happen. Actually, 3 ways you can die. Or you can die because you have reached the end of your expiration date. There are some people, they're fully healthy and happy, and then one day they just keel over and die. Or they die in their sleep. Those are people who reach their expiration date. And then there are people who reach their expiration date, but along the way, they somaticize, they physically manifest all of their unconscious garbage in their body, and they'll die from some kind of long-term old age disease of something or other. In my experience, that's what I've seen. I've been around here long enough to see that. I hope I don't have that experience. But, whatever I'm unconscious about will make itself known one way or another. I will either become conscious of it or it'll manifest physically. And if you guys stay with me long enough, in the next 30 years, you'll get to look and see what happens, how I get to go. Hopefully it'll be in the way of the Taoist masters, where some apprentice will show up to my house and find just a pile of clothes. He won't find any hair. Maybe some beard hair and some fingernails. Pile of clothes, hair, and fingernails, and I'll be gone. And that'll be because I translated to the next level. But if that doesn't happen, then my next best fantasy is that I just go surfing one day, have sex with my wife, whoever the next one's going to be, and eat some good food, go to sleep, and then I just don't wake up. So to answer your question, how do you prevent getting dementia? Is that you fully do everything in your power to be completely conscious of all of your thoughts and feelings. Work through all of your internal conflict. And then you won't have to live like that. That's my opinion. Take it for whatever it's worth. Lushka says, honest feeling. I am so grateful for your energy work. I feel the Shin energy gaining more strength as I intermix it with Kundalini Yoga, doing more yin-yang practices, Qigong practices. Great. I'm happy for you. I'm happy that it's been helpful for you. And when you go here to thunderwizard.com and you sign up for the Warrior 90 Day and you press play and you do the exercises I take you through, you will have a unified energy practice that I guarantee you nobody else in the world is teaching or has ever taught. And that is, we do Qigong, which is you work directly with life force energy, breath, oxygen, just the ambient qi around you. You bring that into your body. You have that flow through your body. That's the first. There's a lot of thunder out there. That's the first of the three. The second is Kundalini, and I teach you Kundalini yoga practices, which will stimulate the Kundalini, which rises up the spine, opens up the chakras, which are levels of maturity, and you can become a fully conscious human, psychologically conscious human being, and that's what Kundalini is all about. And then the third energy, which to my knowledge is not taught openly by anybody. In fact, I don't know anybody else that knows how to directly tap into this third force other than these guys, the Mao Shan, and specifically the Mao Shan guys that I learned from. There might be other Mao Shan sects out there that know how to do it. A lot of the Mao Shan guys don't. A lot of them are just black magicians that are just using folk magic, and they call themselves Mao Shan. But I don't know anybody else that knows how to tap into this, which is the lightning power that is in the heart center that normally stays self-contained and dormant. But there are things that you can do to flip switches, and it's just simple movements. Simple movements and postures will flip the switches to open up the shin. I don't know anybody else that's teaching all three of those things. And I think that the three of them together make the most powerful energy practice, not only for health, for feeling good, for consciousness and awareness, but for working through your emotions, your unconscious issues. I don't know of any system that does it better. So that's what I think Lushka is talking about there. So anyway, no other questions. I've done just a nat spiel. I did my spiel, did my business. So anyway, guys, continue to do your practice, and I encourage you in states of meditation and contemplation to contemplate. You know, one thing you can do is, you know, like if you can find a place to go out in public, sit on a park bench somewhere and just people watch and look around and see if you can tap into the mindset. You know, somebody walks by, they're happy. You know, right now I'm in that stage in my life where happy little kids are just you know, that makes my day. When I'm, you know, at the beach and I see some dad and his 5-year-old kid, and he's teaching the kid how to surf, and the kid surfs, you know, and he's, you know, it just makes me so happy. I just get so thrilled watching little kids having fun and being themselves, because I'm at that grandpa age. That's what happens. I didn't think it was going to happen to me, but it did. That whole grandpa thing starts coming out. You know, watch people and see if you can, you know, who are the people who are sad, who are the people who are happy, what do you feel by watching them, and know that all of it is your own projection, all of it. And learn to, when you find yourself judging somebody, they're stupid, they're ugly, they're dumb, they're mean, they're whatever your judgment you have about them, stop and realize that every single one of them is a perfect being of light. And they are that way. Whatever imperfections you see about them are there because you're imposing it on them, because they're part of you. So see if you can take one of those people and bring them into your mind, and see if you can transform them into a being of light. And that way you can tap into that. Let me give you one other tip to use. There's a mantra you can use. If you've already got a mantra given by me, you don't have to do this. In fact, I recommend you don't do more than one mantra. But if you don't have a mantra, or if you're in between mantras, I've got one for you. Om Lambodaraya Hung. Ong Lambodaraya Hung. That is a mantra for an aspect of Ganesha called Lambodara. Lambodara means big bellied. And it means that in Ganesha, he has the entire universe in his belly, which means that he is fully fulfilled. He has everything within him. And it is a mantra that can be used to help people who have anger issues. Because anger comes from feeling that you've been, somebody stealing from you, somebody is wronging you, that somebody has done something that your physical or your psychological survival is at risk. So there's an anger response, which is a self-defense response. And so by chanting Om Lambodara Hung, you see yourself as Ganesha with a big belly that has the entire universe in it. He's full, he's complete, he's happy. And there you go. Hung is a weapon mantra which destroys negativity. And let's see, Ong Lambodara Hung. It is 7 syllables, which means it goes to the 7th house, which has to do with relationships, connection to other people. So it's a great mantra for learning how to accept other people. It's 3 words, which means it takes your energy. The 3rd house is your energy. Takes your energy and puts it into bringing about healthy, fulfilling relationships, work environment, those kinds of things. So there you go. So Dennis Gilmore got a question in before I could sneak out, or he says, can Qigong powers get so powerful that they can reverse the virus that some organization I won't mention attempts to take over the world? The latest is monkeypox virus. They are pushing in the direction of things concerns me. Can Qigong powers get so powerful that they can reverse it? Here is my answer to you. Why don't you find out? Instead of me telling you yes or no, why don't you find out? And then you can tell us. So go up here to thunderwizard.com, or you can go on to the playlists. I have free Qigong. I have the Awakening the Immortals Qigong, which is extremely powerful. So my suggestion to you is to give it a try and find out for yourself. No teacher-like experience. All right, no other questions? That's it? Okay, guys, that's it for me. I'm gonna go relax a little bit and enjoy the Florida thunderstorms. By the way, if I didn't say last time, I think I'm finally getting comfortable here. I think I can make it work here. It's not Australia. It'll never be Australia, but I think I can. I think I can be comfortable here for the at least the foreseeable future. So, anyway, that's neither here nor there. All right, that's it, guys. I wish you all the best. I will see you all very soon. Take care.